Today we're going to be talking about fossils, and then we'll also be talking about dinosaurs and the words carnivore and herbivore. So first I'm going to start off by reading you a book about fossils, and it says Fossils Tell of Long Ago by Aliki. Once upon a time, a huge fish was swimming around when along came a smaller fish. The big fish was so hungry it swallowed the other fish whole. The big fish died and sank to the bottom of the ocean. This happened many years ago. How do we know? Because the fish turned to stone. The fish became a fossil. A plant or animal that has turned to stone is called a fossil. Scientists can tell how old the stones are. They could tell how old the fish fossil was. How did the fish become a fossil? Most animals and plants do not become fossils when they die. Some rot and turn back into dirt. Others dry up, crumble, and blow away. No trace of them is left. This could happen to the very big fish. If this could have happened to the big fish, we would never know it had lived. Instead, the fish became a fossil. This is how it happened. When the big fish died, it sank into the mud at the bottom of the sea. Slowly, the soft parts of the fish rotted away. Only its hard bones were left. The bones of the fish it had eaten were left too. The skeleton of the fish lay buried and protected in the mud. Many years went by. More layers of mud piled up. After a long time, the surface of the earth changed, where the sea was buried and dried out. The weight of the layers of the mud pressed down. Slowly, the mud turned to rock. As this happened, groundwater seeped through the changing layers of mud. Minerals were dissolved in the water. The water seeped into the tiny holes in the fish bones. The minerals in the water were left behind in the fish bones. After a long time, the bones turned to stone. The fish was a fossil. Some fossils, like the fish, are actual parts of plants or animals that have turned to stone. Sometimes a fossil is only an imprint of a plant or animal. Many years ago, a leaf fell off of a fern-like plant. It dropped onto the swampy forest soil, which is called peat. The leaf rotted away, but it left its mark in the shape of peat. The peat with the imprint of a leaf hardened. It became a rock called coal. Coal is a fossil too. Sometimes you can see people do this on purpose, like in some cement. You can push your hands into cement and make an imprint. Sometimes you'll even find leaves. When I walk at the Arboretum, there's a trail where they've pushed in little frogs and animal footprints. So you can actually see that. We kind of do that nowadays. These are dinosaur tracks. They were made fresh in mud. Sand filled the dinosaurs' footprints in the mud. The sand hardened into a rock called sandstone. Many years later, fossil hunters dug through the rock. They found the fossil tracks, exact imprints of the dinosaur's foot. Not all fossils are found in stone. Some are found in the frozen ground of the Arctic. This ancient mammoth is a kind of elephant. It froze to death thousands of years ago. The grass it had been eating was still in its mouth. Many years ago, a fly was caught in the sticky sap of a tree. The sap hardened and became a fossil called amber. Amber looks like yellow glass. The fly was perfectly preserved in the amber. Other insects have been preserved in amber too. We have learned many things from the fish, the fern, the fly, the dinosaur tracks. Fossils tell us about the past. Fossils tell us there were once forests where there are now deserts. Fossils tell us there were once seas where there are now mountains. Many lands that are cold today were once warm. We find fossils of tropical plants in very cold places. Fossils tell us about strange creatures that lived on Earth long ago. No such creatures are alive today. They have all died out. We say they are extinct. Some fossils are found by scientists who dig for them. Some fossils are found by accident. You too might find a fossil if you look hard. When you see a stone, look at it carefully. It may be a fossil of something that once lived. How would you like to make a fossil? Not a million-year-old fossil, just a 1-minute fossil. Get some clay, make an imprint of your hand, and then it shows your hand, what your hand is like. The way a dinosaur's track shows us what a foot was like. You could do this with Play-Doh. Suppose you dried your clay and you buried your clay imprint. Suppose many years from now someone found it. Your imprint would be as hard as stone, your fossil of your hand. It would tell the finder something about you. It would tell something about life on Earth a long time ago. Every time someone finds a fossil, we learn more about life on Earth long ago. Someday you may find a fossil. You may discover something no one knows today. And if you want to do this, why don't you send a picture? It'd be kind of fun. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was our heads, the green and the blue head. These, I'm going to give you a few definite hints on what to do with your head. So the red one I was hoping you would make into the carnivore. We'll talk a little bit more about carnivores. Carnivores have sharp teeth. So you're going to cut out the red and the green head, and this is the top and this is the lower jaw. You're going to cut out the teeth. You can see I cut out these teeth, and I cut all the teeth out. And I'm going to show you a little hint on how to cut the teeth out easier. If you cut out the shape and then you cut across the top of the triangle points, then it's much easier with your scissors to just cut little triangles out like this for your for the teeth. That's a lot easier, and I would like you to cut the teeth out. Then when you're gluing this on, you need to make sure that you put the glue on the teeth, not on the red. So I'm going to put glue right at the bottom like that, and one set of teeth is longer than the other. The longer one goes on the top of the head, the bottom one goes on the bottom. Then you're going to glue that so the teeth are sticking up like that. Okay? So now that is how you're going to cut out the carnivore teeth. The herbivore teeth, I will just give you a little hint. It's fine with me if when you're cutting the teeth out, you just cut along the top and you don't need to cut out all these little things like that and just cut around it. Okay? So I'm not going to make the herbivore dinosaur. Okay, now parents, something that will help when your child is trying to put the brad to make the carnivore be able to open and close his mouth is I always use one of these in the classroom. I take a large paper clip and I bend part of it and I give it a starter hole. So this looks like a good spot to put the brad through, and I'll do another one right here. So I'm going to put the brad through that starter hole. It makes it a lot easier. And then I'm going to put it through this hole. So now my dinosaur can move his mouth, fold it over, and the kids all know how to do this. They probably like this the best, folding their brad open. Okay? And now they have their nice dinosaur. Now, this is the carnivore, and we usually think about carnivores as being, you know, kind of mean. So I'm going to make my carnivore. I'm going to give him a nose hole, a nostril, and then I'm going to give him an eye. And if you give him a slanted eyebrow, he will look a little meaner if you want a mean carnivore. Your herbivore, I wouldn't make mean, but that's up to you. So now you have, oh, and I would really like for you to write carnivore on your, on the bottom of your dinosaur. Make sure that you take a picture for me of your dinosaurs after you're done making them. It'd be really cool to see a lot of pictures coming. Okay, so carnivore, herbivore. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about carnivores and herbivores. Now my dad was almost became a paleontologist, so I actually really like dinosaurs and fossils. They are just so cool. So I actually have real fossils, kind of have a mini museum, and it's just like super cool. So I just wanted to share a couple fossils with you. These are all teeth. So as you can see, this tooth is kind of pointy. It's not super sharp pointy, but it is definitely a little bit pointy. So this is a carnivore's tooth, because carnivores, well, the thing is, carnivores, in order for them, that carnivore means they eat other animals. They eat meat. We're carnivores. We eat meat. And a carnivore, their food, in order for them to get their food, it just doesn't sit around and go, oh, come eat me. They usually have to chase their food, or if they're not chasing their food, they have to sneak up on their food. And carnivores need sharp teeth. Now they might not be sharp like a knife, but they're sharp enough that when they bite into their animal, the animal can't just run away from them. That would be really sad, because they need to eat. So you can see that that's one of the reasons why carnivores have sharp, pointy teeth. Plus, they eat meat. They need to be able to tear it and eat it, and maybe not chew it so much. Some animals just swallow whole. But this is a carnivore's tooth. Now, these are herbivore teeth. And you can see they're big, chunky, flat. Herbivores don't need to run after the plants. Herbivore means a plant eater. We are also herbivores. We eat plants. So now the interesting thing about herbivores' teeth, now not all herbivores, but many, their teeth just keep growing. Now, we don't have that luxury. We get our baby teeth and our adult teeth, and we have to take good care of our teeth. Otherwise, we might lose them and have to put in fake teeth, and we don't want that to happen. But if you're an animal out and eating grass or leaves or twigs, if you pick up a mouthful of grass, what's going to come with the grass? Probably some dirt, maybe some sand, maybe some little rocks, and you're going to start munching away. If you ever have had sand in your mouth, like you went to the beach and you crunched down and you're like, oh, yuck, that would ruin our teeth to be eating sand. But the way herbivores are made, Their teeth just wear down and then they keep growing. So if they have their tooth sticking out like that, it's just going to keep growing and growing and growing, and it just keeps getting worn down and worn down and worn down. So these are herbivore teeth. I'm not sure about this one, but this one is from a horse, and it definitely is a fossil. These have turned to rock. Now sometimes fossils, they are not rock and they're a little more fragile, and this one looks like it might be a little bit more fragile. But one thing that my dad did when he was studying fossils, he studied fossils in Southern California in the Barstow area, and one of the big things that he would do was he was studying horses, and I guess there were a lot more kinds of horses that are now extinct than or horse-like animals than what we know as a horse today. So herbivore, carnivore, and let's see. So we have carnivore, and this is how you spell carnivore. Carnivore. And these are herbivores. Okay, so carnivore and herbivores. And hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about dinosaurs. Actually, mostly fossils, because these are not dinosaur fossils. These are just fossils of mammals, actually. Probably a mammal. So hope you enjoyed this and enjoy doing your experiments and making your dinosaurs today.